What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the final Bad Batch Season 2 after show. Really excited to talk about this double feature finale. It was action-packed, so much happening, so much juicy stuff. Bad Batch beats Mando again. How good is this show? So keen to talk about it. Of course, with my co-host Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It was a great another week where we had a nice two double feature type thing where you do have your separate camps and people saying what they enjoyed more, but honestly, I just enjoyed both. Obviously, I think I enjoyed Bad Batch way more than I did Mando, but still, it was just great to hop from one thing to the next and be like, okay, like that was cool. I usually like to spread my Star Wars around, but in terms of this week, I liked Mando a little less. So I'm really glad I liked I'm really glad we got Bad Batch and stuff, and lots to discuss this week. So thank you to everyone tuning in and such.
For sure.
How about
for
you,
sure.
Ari? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. We're scrambling here. Everyone's got a lot of stuff going on. Mike's got a huge convention coming up this weekend.
very true.
But yeah, no, doing well. But of course, it's tradition. We had to get him on for the finale. A regular guest of the Exchange Pod. Parks, how you doing today?
I'm great. At this point, I'm just like, when you actually have an actual guest here, they're like, imagine you guys are roommates in like an apartment situation. Like when an actual guest comes over, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you got a third roommate," and you guys are like, "He's not the third roommate. He's just here all the time. Like he just eats our food." That's me.
Yeah.
I'm just here to have your food. So
I love that.
But
You're selling yourself way short, but
No.
come
the
on.
analogy's not completely wrong.
I haven't officially moved in, but yeah.
He's got his own toothbrush at our bathroom sink, so
That's
you're
it.
in. You're
That's
locked
it.
in.
Yeah. I call the couch every time I'm over. So.
Yeah.
No,
we
but no,
absolutely
I'm
love
excited to
having
talk
you
about
on.
Bad Batch.
For
Awesome.
sure. Well, let's talk about it then. What did you think of the two-part finale, Parks?
It was I guess the word that I was like repeating in my head after watching it was devastating. I kind of go back and forth with this because I was talking to a few of my followers about it today, but someone said this might be, I don't know if I go this far, but part of me is like, maybe I would. Someone said this was maybe one of the darkest like 2 episodes of Star Wars television, and I the only thing that would maybe rival that is maybe some parts of Andor, but like even then, like I can't think of at least another season of Star Wars television that has left like the main group of characters in such a like completely fractured position as here. Like even when at the end of Rebel season 2, like that definitely, I mean, Kanan getting blinded, we don't know what happens to Ahsoka. That whole, that's a crazy ordeal. But I mean, we just like half the cast of the main Bad Batch has kind of just been splintered off. Like, I mean, it's insane. So yeah, I was very thrilled by it. Very strong finish for what, in retrospect, I have to kind of agree with your guys' thoughts, early on in your podcast, and that it was kind of a weak start to the season. But man, what a crazy finish. I was so tuned into it, and I got really emotional at one particular thing that has to do with I pointed to the right part of the screen for once over here.
You did.
This guy over here.
Spoilers, by the way. I don't know why you've watched this far if you haven't watched the episodes yet, but spoilers for sure.
Tech dying destroyed me. I was not prepared for it. Like, a character death has not messed me up that much in anything in a long time. I was so messed up by it. I was not prepared for it. But yeah, that's what I thought.
Awesome. I'm very much similar to you. I think this is one of the.
It was very intense. Mike, how about you?
Oh, did we do a double thing with him?
I think mine's a big delay.
I think Ari is delayed a little bit. Right? I think I'm right. Ari is delayed. This is a great day to have these kind of.
I'd like to think that Ari wasn't delayed and he was just doing that intentionally.
That would, you know what? Of all the things happening today and this week.
Oh, Ari is so delayed. He's only now laughing. He's like 5-6 seconds behind. This is not good.
Oh, he might have to catch up. The Australian. All right, is he? All right, can you hear us now? Okay, he can. Okay,
yes.
cool. So he can.
Okay. Good.
Okay, great. So my thoughts of the Bad Batch finale. Much to you, I thought that this was one of the darkest finales in Star Wars. I mean, yeah, there's just so much that happened, and it did leave our gang literally fractured. You just saw them limping towards the Marauder and stuff, and I mean, this was just surprising. While one episode felt just like setup and stuff, and when we got into episode 2, I'm like, they're gonna have to cover a lot of stuff. And this wasn't your typical finale where which you get and it wraps up like all the things and that the season had been building towards. It just goes in the opposite direction, but it's still very good. Like it's still shocking. They do it in a way where it's like we all thought last week we were all talking like, oh, Crosshair is gonna get saved. And because when I was watching, I was like, oh, come on, the same old layout where they got to go rescue someone in the finale, then they save him, but then other things happen. And I was thinking of like
That's what I
Spark
was
of Rebellion.
expecting.
Yeah,
I was
I was
expecting
expecting
Crosshair
that.
to get rescued, and then next season be all about like sort of adjusting to that. But like
Exactly.
we're still very far from that, evidently.
Yes, and it was such a surprise, and I thought this reminded me of Avatar: The Last Airbender season two's finale, and I won't spoil, but it goes in a way. I think it's even called Crossroads of Destiny, but it goes in a way where it's like just I think the last time before this where my jaw was just dropped to the floor in a finale was watching that during like quarantine, was watching that season 2 finale, and that was insane. I was like, this is the Empire Strikes Back, man. I mean, you got the crazy family reveal, you got the hero being taken away prisoner. I mean, you just had so many nods to
Yeah.
Empire. So I was like, oh, or at least to the third act. So
You
I
had
was like,
someone
oh,
sort
man.
of dangling to their possible death.
Oh, you're right.
Although in this one they actually died. So
Yeah.
Oh, too
God.
soon, too soon. Yeah, that we'll get into it, but that was so crushing. It felt like I was watching a Pixar movie. I don't know. Ari, what did you think? I watched it with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I really, really loved it. And Parks mentioned, I don't, looking back, I think the first half or just the beginning of the series, there's only 4 episodes out of the 16 that I really disliked, which is the 2 premiere episodes and the 2 episodes where they lose the Marauder. And that's a for Star Wars animation, that's a pretty low amount. And so overall, looking back on the series, I'm very happy with it. I think the first half was a bit overhated when it first came out, and to stick the landing is so important with the show. Look at Book of Boba; it really wasn't that bad at the start. It was actually really good at the start, but the ending was so terrible, and so the fact that they didn't stick the landing, everyone looks back thinks it was a bad show. But yeah, boy oh boy, they stuck the landing here, which is so good to see. And going off of what Park said, it could be up there with just the most dark ending, especially to any of the animated shows, because they are so fractured. They tried to rescue someone, but instead of rescuing someone, they had someone die in their team. The child of the show, Omega, obviously, has been recaptured by the Empire, and the anxiety I felt for her going back into Mount Tantus. I know she's probably never been there before, but like reuniting with Nala Se, I seriously felt for her, which is a great thing that the show's actually making me feel something, unlike some other Star Wars media that's being aired right now. But yeah, I thought that we were going to get a lot of payoff in these 2 episodes, and we actually didn't. And at first, when it first ended, I thought, oh, okay, interesting, and I wasn't sure. My expectations were completely subverted, I guess. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, you know what? I actually love this, but because this is not what I expected. As Mike said, it wasn't the same old rescue mission where we go rescue Crosshair, and then next season, as Park says, we're adjusting to that. It's nothing that you thought was going to happen. No, we don't really answer any of the questions here, which I'm fine with. The only issue I have is that I feel like we leave season 2 off in a similar spot where we left season 1 with Nala Se going to Mount Tantus. But then at the same time, there's
last scene being
yeah, exactly. But then at the same time, so much has opened up. The Omega sister, the Crosshair and Omega maybe having to escape Tantus together, something like that. Endless possibilities, I feel like, and I just love that. Yeah, and I did not expect to be so hyped going to season 3, and it looks like, I mean, the show still could get cancelled. I so hope it doesn't. But it looks like they're writing the show with intentions to go well and truly forward with it, because people were speculating that perhaps this could it could end off at a point where it was okay if the series got cancelled, but it looks like they're well and truly ready to keep going through with Bad Batch stories, which I'm down for, because yeah, the show's been killing it lately, and I'm here for more. But let's we don't have the biggest amount of time to go through the episodes, but let's just go through part one because that's where the setup of the 40 minutes was. Parks, what did you think of I think it was called
The Summit.
the episode, The Summit. What did you think of the Summit?
The Summit. At first, I thought pretty standard Bad Batch fare. You know, they're about to do this mission. I sort of liked the idea that, you know, we're going to track this guy and then get to Mount Tantus. So the mission before the mission. Um, Lots of fun Easter eggs here. Orson Krennic. You know, he was bound to show up at some point in the show, to be honest. So that was a bit from him, and then seeing all these different projects that the Imperials are working on. Saw Rivera, a very surprise appearance, but it is a welcome one because it does have circuitry, I think, with that premiere from the first season. You know, and it is interesting to see how often this guy has a tendency to complicate sort of the situations for other characters in Star Wars. But yeah, I don't know. The action in this was really good. I think it reminded me a lot of what I loved about War Mantle in the first season, which was really that first time we're seeing clones fighting stormtroopers, and we're getting more of that here. I like those guys with like the red stripes and the shoulder pads. I don't know. For me, this was kind of like a pretty typical Bad Batch. I knew it was going to lead into something, you know, probably pretty captivating and interesting, but I was having a good time with it. I was having a good time with the action, the mission, and the cliffhanger. Once we got to the literal, not a literal cliffhanger, but a rail car hanger. That's the point where I realized this finale was not going to go the way I thought it was. You know, I was, you know, as we discussed, like kind of ready for them to be like, oh, we're going to go see the batch go to Mount Tantus, and surely everything's not going to go well there. It's like a heavily fortified Imperial facility or whatever. But yeah, at that point I was like, oh man, like this last episode is going to be really bad, huh? But no, lots of cool stuff. Always welcome to see Steven Stanton as Tarkin. He's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's the general spread of my thoughts on that episode.
Yeah. Hello. There we go.
You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Hello.
I scared myself for a second. Yeah, hello, everybody. Speaking of Steven Stanton, I always love when I know he's going to be in the episode as Tarkin or one of his characters when you hear a background character, like he'll voice a stormtrooper, and I'm like, oh, that was Steven Stanton. And then
yeah,
it just precedes his appearance as Tarkin or whatever. But yeah, this first episode, the whole heist thing, I was like, yeah, typical. We're going to go here and we're going to rescue Crosshair. But then I was like following along with their plan. Listen, it was a little late for me. It was 2 a.m. and I was very tired. So I was like, wait, what happened? What I miss? Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. They're going to track the scientist guy who has been he proved himself to be this really
Hemlock
evil.
is scary.
He is scary. Not only his look, but he is just scary. So, and we saw from the conversations at the Imperial dinner table, he's not a very nice guy to clones. And as we see in that final scene, that is haunting with all his test subjects ready for experimentation. So yeah, it was very interesting because, you know, in Clone Wars, we've seen these top ranking Republic officials, you know, admirals and whatnot, work closely with the clones. One person I thought of was Yularen and his close relationship with like Captain Rex or Commander Cody when we would see them together. So, or even, oh, I forgot the guy's name on Plo Koon's team, but he had a close relationship with Commander Wolf, Admiral Covered. No, is that right? I don't know. I just thought of one of the escape scenes from Clone Wars. Anyways,
reaching back into my Clone Wars brain, and I can't. I found nothing. Sorry.
My brain has just been mush lately. But I mean, it was just sitting in that scene where I was like, oh man, I wish I read Catalyst. We were on Iriadu.
Yes.
Oh, it wasn't Iriadu. Where was that planet? Was that from the Catalyst novel?
Tarkin novel.
So I actually looked this up on Wikipedia earlier today because one of my friends was like, isn't Iriadu where Thrawn's from? And I'm like, it's not
Oh,
where
no.
Thrawn's from, but I looked it up, and sorry, that's what my friends sound like. That's exactly what it sounds like, by the way. But no, it's where Tarkin establishes his administration after becoming like governor in the Empire. So I don't know when that happens. Probably in the Catalyst novel or in the Tarkin novel, one of the two. But yeah,
It's
Honestly,
definitely
the whole episode, I kind of thought they were talking about Eadu, the planet from Rogue One. And I was like, oh, I thought it
Man,
was real rainy on this planet.
there's
though,
a
but
lot
I guess
less rain.
I guess the
than
rain
in
cleared
Rogue
up.
One.
yeah. No, this is a cool planet because I'm pretty sure in the Tarkin novel he like grew up here. I don't, maybe I'm wrong on the planet name, but he like grew up here and did all this training with his family. Like I don't know, but it just made me want to read. I just kicked myself. I'm like, I really should have read Catalyst, Tarkin before embarking on this journey. Because after I got back from I think California. From Celebration, the last one. By the way, if you're attending Star Wars Celebration, there's gonna be a Bad Batch panel. So we'll see it, we'll talk about that later, but we'll see if Bad Batch season 3 gets a green light. And if you're going to Celebration London, make sure you check me and Ari's like little Star Wars Celebration like recap video to help you with all your celebrations, wants and needs and questions. Maybe we could answer a question or spark some thought. Go check that out on the
And
podcast
if you're
feed on
physically
YouTube.
going there, you can come see me.
You're going.
For real, for real.
That's
Yeah.
yes.
I was about to
No.
say.
One of
don't
the
like
people
it.
Go say hi
here
to
is going
Parks.
to the celebration. Yeah, go.
Why-
I'll be
yeah.
handing out stickers. I'll be handing out ArTorr stickers if you're there. So,
Why are you going? You didn't join us when we went to Anaheim, but now you're flying
Bro,
overseas.
I didn't
Traitor.
Man
have.
can't go to California, but he
I
can
was
go
in
to
a rough
London.
place financially a year ago. I am
Oh,
way better
don't put
now.
us like that. Don't shame me like that.
That's the literal reason. I would have gone if I could afford it.
Now I'm gonna get YouTube comments up in here when I'm not on the Mando podcast, being like, "Oh, thank God Mike's not here. He's such an A whatever." So thank you, Parks. I
Don't
appreciate
worry. I'll
that.
tell my viewers to stop sending in those comments. I'll tell them.
Thank you. We need some
Yeah.
some peace in here. But speaking
Yeah,
of peace, Commander Krennic, finally great to
Nice
see him.
transition.
Finally great to see him. Thank you. I thought we would see him in Rebels, and I was just like, he would have been perfect in here. We got a name drop for him, but we never seen him in the show. So I was kind of little like, oh man, like they were going all the way with Rogue One connections, but they missed out there on the director Krennic there. But it was still great to see him here. And like I said, it was just nice gain and nice perspective from some of the top ranking Imperial officials there being like, no, what would the clones say? I work closely with them in the Clone Wars, and I'm like, so the Tarkin. So I wonder what he's gonna say, and he just tore them to shreds, and which was just was pitiful. And I'm just like, Tarkin, I still hate you, man. I still hate you. So all this stuff was great, and the scenery visually was just stunning for this space station, and or base, I should say. And Saul, I have captions on, so I reacted. So Ari and I watched over FaceTime. I looked at Ari because I saw like it said Saul in like parentheses, and he was speaking because I'm like, who are those guys? And then I like looked at my camera to see when Ari would get it, and then when he took off his helmet, I was like, yeah, Ari also had like this explosive reaction, and so did I. I mean, it, like as you said, it ties everything back to what we first saw him in, and we got a little bit update like, oh, you guys did choose a side, great, like that was cool. And I love the Kiner Bros because during the little like bombing sequence, and when they saw and his team were running away, you heard a motif of the Saw theme that was played in the Aftermath premiere, and I was like, oh, that's so good. That's just like the sprinkles and cherry on top.
You also heard a little bit of Jin's theme for the few
I was about to
seconds
say
Krennic
that.
is talking. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Which
Absolutely
is crazy. Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy to see all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was like
bros.
that was so awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I thought the episode was pretty solid. I don't have much to add besides, Saw Gerrera is kind of, people would wonder, well, what is wrong with Saw Gerrera? He just hates the Empire as well. He wants to get rid of them. Well, you see here, his tactics really just made things worse. They could have gone and saved clone troopers, got all this intel, got rid of this cloning project, whatever. But no, because Saw wanted to blow the base up, none of that's going to be possible. And Tech dies, obviously. So, Tarkin in his evil ways. So good to see Krennic. Loved hearing Jin's theme. Stardust call out was cool. But yeah, for the most part, this episode I did just think, oh yeah, typical old Bad Batch. But it did just. I was just thinking, okay, they're just setting up the next episode. So glad they aired them together. There's some real obvious moments in animation, Star Wars animation, when 2 episodes should be released together, and this was one of them. I was like, thank the maker. But anyway, so yeah, good episode all around. That clone scientist is an absolute a-hole. And yeah, you're right. He just hates clones, man. And I think we're gonna see a lot more of him in the season or potentially seasons to come. But yeah, then we get to the next episode, and it all happens. Our boy Tech, who we didn't hear a word from last season, and then all of a sudden he walks his way into all of our hearts, and then he leaves them broken in pieces after the first 10 minutes of this episode. So Parks, how did you react to Tech's eventual death?
Not well. So obviously, yeah, Tech has been definitely, I think most people would agree, this one of the standout characters, if not just like the standout character of the season. You had Faster, you had he was definitely, I know you guys weren't crazy about what was it, the crossing, but his scene with Omega in that episode was fantastic. And then he had a thing with Fee going on, which in retrospect now is kind of heartbreaking to think about how he interacted with Fee at the beginning of the summit. Very avoidant in a way, and not really engaging on sort of any sort of intimate level. And now he's dead, and that kind of sucks. But yeah. But I have one of my best friends has Asperger's, so he has a form of autism. And we were talking a bit after the crossing, that episode where he's talking to Omega and he has a big argument with her. And he was telling me, and this goes for a lot of people who I think saw that episode and were talking about it on Twitter, just how autistic coded he felt Tech was after that episode. And you could see that throughout the whole series, really. But that was the episode that really confirmed it, with how he talks about how he communicates. And that's what I love so much about that episode, was that deeper look at Tech, and especially because I have a best friend who has autism, and he's talked about it many times to me, about the sort of the struggles of living with that, and just how people treat you differently, and how you have to communicate or change your approach to the world. That Tech, for that reason, Tech became like this much more important character to me, and I think a much more important character, for the sake of the show, as like, here is like a well-written autistic coded character in Star Wars, potentially, that maybe children are watching the show and they're seeing that, and that's an awesome thing. So that being said, that attachment with this character made this moment absolutely devastating to me. Also to the fact that this was a very well-directed moment, I thought. They have all the great elements in play. When the V-Wings are coming into frame, the way these things are swooping up, they're making them look like terrifying. And every time they cut back to them, and that the rail car is like slowly falling off of this line, you get that lump in your stomach of like, dude, like the entire Bad Batch is going to like plummet to the bottom of like this cloud, like this bottomless pit, if they don't figure this thing out. That being said, there were some cool moments where Hunter like one shots the V-Wing that crashes into the other V-Wing. That was insane. But then when we get to the moment with Tech, where he's Plan 99, a lot of people were speculating about what that meant leading up to this. Turns out Plan 99, just like 99 himself, means to sacrifice yourself. So that is just God. And his last line of since when have we followed orders? Love it. Perfect. Because like Tech is the one member of the batch who is very order oriented, do everything by the book. It's just kind of his nature. And here's a moment of him acknowledging they don't do that, and he's not going to do that despite the best wish of his team in order to save them. There's also, I feel like, a slight bit of like irony to it, and that this is like the Bad Batch, and not following orders is their thing, and this is him sacrifice. I don't know. There's so many layers to this moment that were beautiful, and that shot is another Star Wars shot that'll forever be singed in my head of him sliding back through the air, and then the camera literally like comes through the blaster hole of like the glass shield of the car that's like passing in front of him as he's going into the insane, just absolutely insane, man. Like if I was a kid watching this, I would be a freaking wreck. Like
Wrecker definitely
so
was. Yeah.
well, because he's Wrecker, yeah. But no, I was just devastated. Easily one of the best executed Star Wars deaths in animation.
Yes.
And because of that death, I think the stakes for the show from here on out have been greatly heightened, because after so many Mission of the Week episodes, you kind of just suspend any doubt in your head of the Bad Batch possibly failing or getting seriously hurt or injured. Not anymore. Tech died.
Right.
So anything could happen, especially with how the episode ends. So
right. Usually,
yeah, crazy.
A show with stakes. I love it.
Usually,
Mike, what do you think?
You sound like Steve Harvey right now. Thank you. This is Family
Steve
Feud,
Harvey?
everybody. I think that I love that it was true. He like the way that they had him go out was true to the way they were depicting him as you said. He was very coded in the realm of in the aspect of autism and stuff. And I love that at the end he was just like, when did we ever follow orders? And he was kind of just emotionless. And I feel like with anybody else we would have gotten like this big, and I was like, wow, it's okay not to show emotion. I love that message too, that it was like it's okay, and there's people out there that have that's not how they express how they feel and everything. So absolutely, that moment was so gutting. And when the whole train sequence was happening, I'm like, I don't have a good feeling about this. Or I should say, I had a bad feeling about this. Sorry to make everybody cringe, but I unmuted myself on FaceTime, and I looked over to Ari and I said, "Hey man," I was like, "Hey mate, I don't think this is gonna end well."
yeah.
I unmuted myself. I was like, "Hey mate, I don't think this is gonna end well." And then like 2 minutes later, that's when he died, and he had the Gwen Stacy death. So that was very tragic.
You're so right. Oh
I
my
mean,
god,
Gwen Stacy.
Sorry,
characters need to stop dying by like falling into a bottomless pit. I can't take it anymore.
I'm gonna make a meme and make people mad. No, but that was it was as you said, it was one of the like best deaths so far. And on last week's editorial with Brody, officially Star Wars, I was like, look, I like heating up my food and in the microwave, and I like it when I think about Thanksgiving when there's mashed potatoes left, macaroni and cheese, turkey. I stuff that in the microwave. However, the microwave sometimes the food does not evenly heat up. And that's how I feel Bad Batch. Well, I mean, chemistry and science, all that. Of course, it makes sense.
I loved your metaphor, by the way. I listened to that editorial.
Oh, thank you. Came up with it on the spot. Tired AF. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come up with a weird analogy today.
Full send. Bring out the microwave metaphor.
Exactly. Turn on your microwaves, folks. It's Star Wars references everywhere. But
make sure your microwaves can do a spin while they're
oh yeah, you need to make that spin. If you microwave your food without the plate rotating at the bottom, you're weird.
Yeah,
my old apartment was like that.
Yeah, my microwave
so
at my high school was like that.
Yeah.
Why did you have a microwave in your high school?
Oh, heat up food.
My high school had a microwave.
Yeah, why?
I guess they didn't trust us.
Sorry, Mike, you're left out.
Yeah. Comment below. Did you guys have microwaves in your high school that you can access?
We need to know. We're collecting.
Let us know.
Conducting a new study.
Need to know.
Yeah. And did it spin? That's another.
Did it spin?
Yeah, because mine did not. I went to.
What?
I can't remember. I don't think mine in school spun either, to be honest. So
no, I'll be real quick. When I worked at a place I worked at not too long ago, before the pandemic, they had an old microwave at the bottom that was this big old box, and I always felt weird microwaving stuff in there just because there was no plate. It was just a surface. It was like a microwave from it looked like the 80s or maybe early 90s. It just leave it there and it does not spin. Anyways, you know what did spin though? Echo. I mean,
it was through the skies.
I was gonna say, but I'm not even gonna make that joke.
Yeah, tech.
Poor tech. But
yeah,
I did say they should, start eliminating some characters around here just because sometimes it felt overstacked. Like, what happened to Hunter this season? Tech was brought to the forefront. Hunter got like barely little to no spotlight.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
Mike,
like
you did say on many podcasts, let's start cutting the fat. Let's
yeah,
start cutting the fat.
I did say that. I did say that.
So
No.
you sit here being all sad about it. I'm not buying it because you've been
No,
preaching for this
Look,
since
no,
the first
look,
episode.
look.
Oh, come on, we need to cut the fat.
Okay,
we need to
look.
cut the fat.
I talked to Colin who joined us a week like 2 weeks ago, and he's from the Star Wars Stuff podcast, and I told him, I was like, I've been on that mantle of like cut some fat, but this one did hit, and I did like it. And as Parks, you were saying, there is now a kind of chill feel where it's like, oh, anything's up for the table, because I thought this was gonna be like Rebels, all the characters live through the end. Yada,
we
yada,
return
yada.
back to the status quo, but
Exactly.
The big difference with this season from every other Star Wars animation season is that the status quo at the end is like totally different from what it normally is. The Bad Batch is half its original size now, at least in terms of who's standing on the ship at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally foresaw someone dying and Crosshair taking up the mantle and filling that gap, but now I'm just like, oh, that's probably going to happen, but there's going to be a weird dynamic this time that or maybe he doesn't, maybe he just has a different walk. But I mean, this stuff, I just can't even rave enough about it, because it didn't feel so dramatic where it felt like, oh man, like this just everyone has to go out like a hero. It didn't even feel like that at all. I mean, he did have a heroic moment, but it was nicely done where it was like, we lost a clone in battle. It wasn't just like, it wasn't like this big deaths, significant,
man. They always
I liked it. It was perfect. It was the perfect amount of dramatic, but also just ease that he was lost in war. And the expressions of Hunter, Wrecker, and they were just like, yep, he's gone. And Omega was just like so distraught, like this is like a big significant loss to her. She's had to lose, Crosshair, and then Echo being having to go away for a bit. So yeah, this was the first loss for her. And there's people out there that say Tech is still alive. Are you guys, let's go around the table here. All right, is Tech dead or alive?
No, Tech's dead.
Parks?
Tech is dead, but I'll be honest, I would not complain if he came back. I really came to love the character of the season, but he should probably stay dead.
Would do you guys think he'll be part of the Imperial scientists' plans for experimentation? Or do you think
you know what? They did have his goggles. He might have. Nah, they're not going to do that.
You know what? They can get the DNA from the goggles, and then that's a Mandalorian type stuff.
Oh my gosh. wrong show, everybody. Please don't leave. But look,
can I say my thoughts on the death?
Wait, no, I gotta finish real quick. I just gotta say, death was cool. Go ahead, Ari.
Great. It was definitely went down in a good way. It's certainly up there with the Kanan one. Not quite on that level, but it's up there. And actually made me feel something, which is great, because Bad Batch at times has felt a little bit. I don't know if emotionless is the right word, but there's just been times where like I haven't really cared what's happened to any of the characters, because I guess there has felt like there's no stakes, but as Park says, it feels like there is going to be stakes, going forward. So, the Plan 99 thing, that was perfect. We were wondering what that was all about, and of course now we see it's about someone sacrificing for the crew. When have we ever followed orders? Loved that. Just like, so visually pleasing to me. Like I was just like thrilled to just look at this as it is and just take it all in. It was honestly breathtaking.
And the way the sound cut before it happened too, like it went completely silent.
Yeah, it just hit on all levels. Design. Like, the performance, just everything was great. Shout out to D. Bradley Baker, man. What a guy. But I'm super interested to see how they're going to go on without him, because also just the fact that Tech died trying to save Crosshair, and then they didn't even save him. Because I'm sure Crosshair will be saved. Or I'm actually not sure. I hope Crosshair's saved, but I think there's going to be implications to the fact that Tech actually died trying to save Crosshair, which I think is kind of beautiful, because even though Crosshair's completely lost his way, Tech still sees him as a brother. I suppose they all still see him as a brother, and he was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for him, which is beautiful, I reckon.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
will be meeting D. Bradley Baker this weekend, so that'll be fun. Oh yeah, right after the Bad Batch finale. Awesome. Just thought about that.
And I'm getting a photo op with him at London next weekend. That's crazy. So
I'm getting a photo op with him too. Cool.
Oh, we'll have to compare our photos and see which one is he more stoked to meet, you or me.
I'm with a group of cool people, so probably me.
Me too, bro. So I'm just telling you.
Interesting.
Your squad versus mine. No, you got the Instagram squad,
and
They're
I'm getting
way
a
cooler
photo
than
up
mine.
with the tree outside. Anyway,
Listen,
We've got
Australian
4
trees
minutes
have
left.
to be pretty crazy.
We've got 4 minutes
sorry.
left, and we're talking about.
Listen, we're having fun. What else matters?
Sorry. We could talk about Sid now.
So yeah, Omega wakes up. They're all injured, and Hunter says that the Empire attacks. Obviously, Sid betrays them. Interesting to see what will happen with that going forward. Omega disobeyed orders once again, but for the first time, I think it actually didn't frustrate me. I thought, you know what? With everything they've set up, she just lost one of her brothers. She doesn't want to lose another. I thought that was sweet. And then Omega captured, taken to Tantus. Nala stays there. Cloning lab. Omega's sister. The heroes left broken. What an ending, Parks. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the Omega thing. It usually is a very predictable thing for her to be like, let me go, disobey orders and save someone. But here, I think at least for why it worked for me was because I wanted her to do that. I didn't want her to. I really wanted to see how she was going to get Wrecker and Hunter out of the situation. What was surprising to me was, again, to see that she didn't. She didn't get them out of that situation and that she got captured. Crazy. I was expecting all of them to go to Mount Tantus, to be honest. But if that happened, honestly, they'd probably have much better odds together at Mount Tantus than they would divided. So, and then the line gave me chills when I watched it. Gives me chills thinking about it. Where Hunter goes, we're not stopping until we find out where Omega is. That's where I'm like, what a great tease for where we're going next. The potential that they might not even find them right away. It might be several episodes in hypothetical season 3 before they get them.
And I love that they don't know where Mount Tantus is. They don't know anything about it yet.
Yeah.
I suppose they do. They've been there, but the fact that they can't put 2 and 2 together is pretty interesting.
Right. And it is interesting that Omega and Crosshair are now together at Mount Tantus, but we don't know what's going on with Crosshair. My thought in my brain was like, oh no, has he been brainwashed? Is he going to even know who she is? Up in the air, we don't know. And then the twist with the sister, I have tons of questions and no theories. Other than maybe this cloning thing is more complicated with Omega than we were told in season 1, and that maybe this cloning thing extends much further back than Jango Fett. Don't know. I guess we'll find out in the future. They're certainly going somewhere with it. So
yep,
for sure.
Yep. Yeah, all this stuff really surprised me at the end. I mean, it was cool seeing also a walker in between the AT-ST or RT and to the AT. Oh no, wait, it was the ATR, the clone armored tank walker versus what it will grow into the AT-ST. It looked like a first order walker, but anyways, I just love seeing stuff like that. But yeah, all this stuff, the Sid betrayal. There's so much to say there that I probably off season during the Bad Batch that we have to talk about. But I really think this whole thing was just great. It was the buildup was great for it in the first episode, and everything that happened here was just jaw dropping. I mean, my jaw was just dropped when we met that female scientist and she sounded like an older version of Omega, and I was like, is that Michelle Hank? And then it was revealed that's the sister, and that was the craziest
Real quick
part.
on Sid, Mike, you did say to me yesterday you want to see a bullet through her head.
I did not say that. I did not say that. No, I didn't.
Why would you share that on the podcast?
I did not say that. He's making things up. I did not say that. I said I was curious.
What he said was a blaster bolt through the head.
Exactly.
Blaster bolt.
In universe.
In universe.
Right,
In universe. I don't have a cardboard cut out of Sid or anything, just to clarify.
Not
But yeah.
anymore, anyway.
Yeah, you know.
It's been destroyed since the Bad Batch
Oh,
finale.
poor thing. But yeah, overall, the third. I mean, there was just. I really don't know what to say, but I'm so interested in what they're gonna do next. I don't want to hype it up too much because last time I was left like this, Twilight of the Apprentice, I had such a jagged reaction to the opener for Rebel season 3. I thought it was like, I was like, I like it. It was nice, but then they like resolved some issues like in the first couple episodes. I don't want this here. I want them to drag it out a little bit, and maybe this will be the Return of the Jedi season. So maybe the Bad Batch is only 3.
You put forward yesterday. You should explain that real quick.
What was my analogy? Like going
About
to
how
save...
season 1 was like A New Hope, season 2
Right.
Empire Strikes Back, and where season 3 is going.
Yeah, season 3 is going crazy things. Yeah, I don't know.
Good explanation of the analogy.
Hey, I
You
can't
pretty much
recover
said
after
it,
that
Ari.
sit. I can't recover after that sit comment. I'm sorry. No matter what I say.
You did say that.
No, I didn't. I did not.
All right,
Anyways.
fair enough. Anyway, sorry,
I wasn't there, but I'm sure he did say. I'm sure he didn't.
Yep, definitely didn't.
Love you.
All right, so yeah, I don't have anything to add. We've covered it all. More questions than answers. Season 3's shaping up to be pretty good. There's a lot of setup, a lot of endings possible. It's very, very open ended, which we love. So that pretty much wraps up our discussion today. Thanks to everyone for listening. Before we go, Parks, of course, thanks for coming on. Where can the people find you?
You could find me as ArTorr on YouTube, Parks Harmon on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, I mentioned it earlier. If you're going to Celebration London, not this weekend, but next weekend, I will be there. I might have some details on my socials about a meetup or something. I honestly don't know if anyone who watches my videos will be there. I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 people. I don't know. But I have stickers. So if you want stickers, come find me.
I'll send people towards your way. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys, I think also he announced his Indiana Jones upcoming documentaries, so be hyped for that. That's coming out as well. So look out for that. And all the park stuff is in the description and everything. And you guys can find me all _Star Wars on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, this podcast, bro. Ari and I have some things planned coming up, not just for the podcast, but just for us, and it's going to be great. So can't wait to share. How about you, Ari?
Yep. Find me at @StarWars_Exchange. Give us a 5-star rating, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at the SW Exchange. Do all that. Thanks for listening. May the Force be with you. See you next season.